The loneliest seat in JV football. Welcome once again to another episode of JV Matters. I'm your host, Coach Lowry. This is another YouTube and podcast for coaches, parents, players, and anyone who realizes that football isn't just about Friday night lights. I'm going to go ahead and continue this episode on a little bit about what it's like to be a JV football coach. So let's get started. There's something about being a head coach that most people never fully understand until they sit in this chair themselves. From the outset, or from the outside, I should say, it looks simple. You coach, you're the coach. You're in charge, you make the decisions, you run the practices, you lead the team. Sounds simple enough, right? Anyone can do it. Ah, that's what you think. But what many people don't see is that being a head coach can sometimes be a lonely place, especially at the JV level. Not because you're physically alone, you're surrounded by players, assistant coaches, parents, administrators, but because there are decisions that ultimately fall on your shoulders, and anybody and nobody can make them for you. True, you've got people that are going to help you, that are in your corner, like my assistant coaches, my head varsity coach. They give you advice, but ultimately the decision is yours. And if you make the wrong decision, you can hear it from the person in the very top of the stands yelling, "Why did you call that play?" Or or why didn't you call that timeout? Or why did you call the timeout at that point in time in the game? Every JV coach has experienced this. You make a decision knowing not everyone is going to agree with it. A lineup change. What? You changed the lineup? A position change. Oh, great. Not again. A disciplinary action. We lost. We need him on the field. A conversation with parents. Oh, Johnny is not doing very well in class this time. A recommendation to move a player up to varsity. We just moved our starting QB up to varsity. Theirs theirs went down. What are we going to do now? Some decisions are easy and some are not. And the people in the stands let you know. The difficult ones are the ones where your leadership gets tested. Because leadership isn't about making popular decisions. It's about making the right decisions. And sometimes the right decision isn't is the one that gets questioned the most, not only by the fans, but by your staff and by the head varsity coach. At the JV level, coaches constantly find themselves balancing competing responsibility. You want to develop your players. That's the goal. You want to win games. Yeah, that's the goal too, but that's not the primary goal. Still developing players is the primary goal. You want to maintain standards. That's a goal. You want to build confidence in your players, but you need to remember what your goal is as a JV coach. And that is to get your players ready to play at the next level, even if your decision is not the most popular one. Sometimes those goals work together and sometimes they don't. And every coach has had that moment where they wondered, did I make the right call? And sometimes those calls keep him awake at night. And that's normal. It means you care. The coaches who worry about decisions are usually the coaches who understand the weight of their responsibility. Because responsibility or leadership affects people, it affects your players, it affects your coaches, it affects the parents, it affects everybody. A position change affects a player. A disciplinary decision affects the family. A recommendation affects a future opportunity. Those things matter, and good coaches don't take them lightly. One of the lessons I've learned over time or over years is leadership requires conviction, not stubbornness, but conviction. There's a difference. Stubborn coaches refuse to listen. Strong leaders listen to everybody. Then they make the best decision they can with the information available. I have a good coaching staff behind me. I'm proud of that. So I make sure I bounce my decisions or my ideas off of them. But ultimately, it's my responsibility. But I do know how to take advice and listen to the advice that my assistant coaches give me, as well as my head coach. And once the decision is mine, they stand behind it. They stand behind me. My coaches back me up, whatever direction I go with. We show a united front as I back my coaches as well. That's not always comfortable. It's a fact. In fact, it rarely is. Players may disagree, parents may disagree, but leadership isn't measured when everyone agrees with you. Leadership is measured when you have to make difficult decisions and accept responsibility for the outcome. Trust me, I've had several of those. That's why you are entrusted with the position and given the reins to run with it. That's part of the grind nobody sees. The sleepless nights, the second guessing, the concern for players, the desire to do what's best for the team. Most of those moments happen far away from the stadium lights. At times, and again, sometimes right before the game, during the game, or after the game. I have made several of those decisions, like right before kickoff, I am unable to play a certain player. Or maybe I'm only able to play a player for a quarter because they need him the next day at varsity. So I have to make a roster change. But those moments are real, and they're not part of what makes coaching such, but those are the part of what makes coaching such a tremendous responsibility. Not everyone can do it. I've asked, and no one reaches out. The longer I coach, the more I realize that football isn't really about control, it's about influence. You can't control every outcome. You can't control every player decision. You can't control every situation. What you can control is your leadership, how you respond when put in a particular situation, your preparation, your consistency, your integrity. Don't need to change as long as you are consistent across the board. And in the end, that's what players remember. They don't remember every score. They don't remember every win. They don't remember every loss. What they do remember is their coach cared. Whether he was fair, they care whether he held the standard, they care whether he stayed true to his principles when things got difficult. That's the reality of the head coach's chair. Sometimes it's the loneliest seat in JV football, but it's also the most meaningful because from the seat, you have the opportunity to help shape a team, a program, sometimes even a young person's future. You get to help guide a young man on his journey, help him choose the path he wants to go or the direction he needs to go. So, my closing thought is this: if you're a coach listening to this, remember, not every decision will make everybody happy. So you're not going to please everybody. You can't. It's impossible to make everyone happy. You can't make all the players happy. You can't make all the parents happy. You can't make your assistant coaches happy. You can't make all the administrations happy. That's not your job. Your job is to lead with integrity, make the best decision you can, and always put the development of your players first. Show everyone that you care for your players, that you're consistent, and finally, that you love your players for all that they do, good or bad, and that you're always there for them. That's what a good coach does. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, then share with your family and friends. Hit the like button, subscribe below, and all of you have an outstanding day. And I will see you all on the next episode of JV Matters.